today I'm actually going to show you something that I think we're all a little bit nervous about when we get something like this in our chair. But I'm actually going to show you how I tackled gray blending, actually white blending, because I had a client come in and she was just tired of having to color her hair every single time her root growths came back in, because she was probably 100% white already. So she had a lot of grow out and she was just done with coloring her hair over and over. So we're going to transition her. And so I'm going to show you guys how I transitioned her, because she just wanted to go little by little. So we did kind of a process. So I'm actually going to show you how I ended up blending this out for her. And it gave her a nice, easy way for her to grow it out if she wanted to just let it kind of grow out like this. So anyway, I'll move on and get to the video. So also, this was pre-COVID, so we aren't wearing masks. It just took me a while to get this video up for you guys. So anyway, I hope you enjoy. If you have any questions or anything like that, let me know in the comments and give me a thumbs up if you like this video.
Okay, so to begin, I used Schwarzkopf Blondme and 20 volume developer, and I also added Olaplex. This was just to ensure that I didn't cause her any damage, just because she's been coloring her hair so many years, so I wanted to make sure to protect her hair as much as possible. So then I just used the 20 volume and then Olaplex, and then at the end, once I mix a fresh batch at finish her off, I will actually bump up my developer to about a 25, and again still add Olaplex. So notice what I'm doing here is actually sectioning off just the bottom part, because she does have shorter hair. I'm not going to do a whole lot of highlighting at the bottom. I'm actually going to just take a few sections just so that she has a little bit of lightness at the bottom to blend with the top. But I'm actually in this session, I'm going to concentrate more on the top, because that's where you'll notice her regrowth more. So that's why I'm just going to do a few sections at the bottom, and then I'll move on to the top. Another reason that I'm not going to be adding too many highlights at the bottom is because she is still going to get a haircut, and we're actually going to take off quite a bit of her bottom length. So I didn't need to do a lot of highlighting, because I'm going to be cutting a lot of that off. I personally like to do my haircuts after I've done the color service, just because that way if there's any ends that, you know, were too dry to begin with, I don't have to worry about them getting more damage or anything like that. So then I can just, you know, get rid of them after I'm done with the whole color service. That way if there's any extra damage that's done during the color service, which, you know, most of the time there's not a whole lot, but you never know. That way I just cut that off once we're done. Also notice that I'm not applying the lightener to the actual white part of her hair, because I don't need to lighten that at all. I mean, it's already white. So what I'm gonna do is whatever gets lightened, I'm gonna blend that with her white hair. So I don't need to lighten any of her white growth. Okay, so now that I'm going to start the top section, I actually did this in a way that's going to go with her natural, the natural way that her hair falls. So she always has her hair down, obviously, because it's super short. So I actually just am going to follow her natural part, the way it lays naturally, and that's how I'm going to apply my lightener. I'm actually taking slices here, and what the slices are going to do, these vertical slices, are going to allow me to apply the lightener in a way that's going to grow out in a way that ensures that I don't get any weird spotting or lines of demarcation, because it's just going to grow out the way that it lays naturally. So you won't get any weird splotching or like leopard spots like you do sometimes on shorter hair. As I go around her head, I'm actually going to start pivoting my foils just so that it follows that natural fall of her hair. So notice that I'm slightly pivoting already the way that I'm applying it. So I'm just going to angle it slightly every time I apply a new foil. Since we're also just doing this to kind of blend out her white hair, I'm going to do 2 slices and then skip a slice. And that'll also kind of allow me to get that pivot in there in a more natural way so it's not noticeable. And you may be wondering what I'm going to do with the slices that I didn't apply lightener to. What I'm actually going to do, again, because we're just going to blend her hair, I'm going to go back in and root those slices that I left out. So any hair that was left out, I'm going to go back and retouch the root growth with the color that she has on. So kind of like a light brown. So that way it'll allow me to kind of blend out that color and then the bottom part of her hair so that it's not going to look like we just left out hair and let that grow out. So this is just a nice process that gives you the opportunity to blend everything together while also letting her hair grow out naturally. Okay, so now that I get closer to her hairline, instead of taking just complete slices, I'm actually going to take a slice and then weave it. That way the front of her hairline doesn't look just straight white. I still want to leave a little bit of color there just to blend it out again. I'm going to take slices and then weave them here. So kind of giving her more of a highlighted look toward the front. Okay, so once I get those last couple of sections on this side, I'm going to switch and do the same thing to the other side, again following the natural fall of her hair so that she has the best blend. On this little section right here, because it's at the very top of her head, I actually did weave out these little pieces because I want it to be really, really blended and soft at the top. I don't want any super harsh lines right there because that's where her hair kind of falls and lays onto her bangs. You really have to take into account what your client's hair does naturally, how they style it, and all of that before you get started with this process, because you want it to be as easy as possible for them to grow it out. I don't really remember what we were talking about, but it must have been really funny. Anyway, so now we're starting back on the vertical slices because we're on the other side of her head and we want to keep it really balanced. So I'm going to just do the same thing that I did before and just do the vertical slices. And then at the front, that front area around her face, I'm going to do the weaving again. Okay, so now we're all done with the highlighting part, so I'm going to go in and retouch all of the fallout. So retouch all of the roots on that fallout, and I'm actually going to use a color very similar to what she had on her head already. And I'm using Joico Lumishine, and it should be, I believe it was a 6N, but it could be like a 6N or 7N. But I love Joico Lumishine because it's so creamy and it leaves the hair really shiny and smooth. So that's a really good color if you're looking for something permanent. I did do the permanent on her just because I wanted her to really have that grab onto her white hair at the root. So, and we didn't do too much of it, so it wasn't going to be anything that was going to be difficult to get through on the next session. On this little section right here, I just felt that it was too much dark and I wanted to keep as much lightness at the top and around her face as I could. So I went ahead and added a little bit more lightener here just to really keep it light around her face. So now all I'm going to do is continue applying that root color all around until we finish that off, and then we'll continue with the rest. So once we allow that to process for about 20 to 25 minutes, I really usually leave it for the full 25 minutes just so that the root color has time to process. And that's why I started with a low developer on her highlights, because I don't want it to get any sort of damage. So I will be watching it to make sure that it processes nicely. Then once we're done, I'll rinse that out and then we'll apply the gloss using Redken Shades EQ. I'll put on here what the formula was so that you know. But once the gloss has finished processing, then we'll wash it and apply the Olaplex, because we are going to finish off with the Olaplex number 2. Then we'll cut her hair and style it, and she'll be all set. So here's the final result. We were both super pleased with the outcome. It'll give her a really smooth transition so that she can let her white hair come through. And we both really liked the result. So I hope you guys liked this. If you have any questions or comments, let me know below. Also, don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more videos. So I'll see y'all later.